Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be starting my adventure with the Arduino Starter Kit. I did the first project on my stream earlier, so go check that out if you want to see me do it live. But anyways, please enjoy. So when you open up your box, you'll see this projects book. Cool, it has lots of good information. And it does a really good job walking you through how to do everything. So, very important. And you'll also see a bunch of boxes containing various things that you need for your projects. What's important is this box containing a breadboard. I've already taken it out and constructed the kit. And there's also a box containing your actual Arduino board. So, there's also this orange base that they give you. You just pop the little pieces out, but make sure you keep track of the pieces. There's a guide in the book on how to explain it, or how to set it up. But yeah, so then you just have a nice little base so you can set up all your projects. Good. Yeah, so things to know with these breadboards. This rail with the plus and the minus, they're all soldered, connected all the way down. So anything in here, if you connect a wire to this part of the plus or this part of the plus, it's still going to be connected to the same power. However, in the middle it's different. They're soldered, these rows of 5, that's where they're soldered. So if you connect something in this row, it shares the same node, whereas on the other side it's a different row itself would also be different. So that's something to look out for when you're doing your projects. So anyways, let's jump into the first project. So the first project is titled Get to Know Your Tools, and we'll make just a simple circuit with some switches and an LED and a resistor. Cool. So first off, let me grab my wires. Always good to have your wires somewhere you can easily access. And it's nice that they give you it in little baggies that you can just keep track of all your wires. Because when you just throw them in a box, they get tangled really easily. It's really annoying. And then your other box, which is important, is this electronic components kit. It basically holds all of your tools to do things. Great. So I've got that. I've got my wires. So let's get started. Basically goes over some basic circuit theory stuff between Ohm's law, where voltage and current and resistance and their relationships. Voltage equals current times resistance, Ohm's law. And they also teach you things about the components. They explain the stuff about the breadboards. They have a nice little diagram about the connections. That's what I was explaining before, with the plus and minus rails being connected all the way down in the columns, whereas the other rows are only connected in the 5 rows, or the 5 across. So the book is really easy to follow because they give you an illustration of what you're building, actually what you're building. And they also give a circuit diagram, so if you're more versed into circuit theory, you could just look at that instead. It's cool. They also do a good job explaining about your components. So today we are going to be using an LED, a resistor, and a switch. So an LED is basically a light emitting diode. It converts electrical energy into light energy. So there's two pins on an LED, the anode and the cathode. And that basically just determines which way the current will flow. So the way that LEDs work is if a certain amount of voltage goes through onto one side, then it'll allow current to flow. And unless that requirement is met, nothing goes through. So you can do a lot of interesting things with that in more advanced circuits. But today we're just using it to light up because it's cool. And then a switch, it basically just, if you press the button, then it connects the circuit, and then if you let go, it doesn't connect the circuit, so then nothing goes through. It's cool. Yeah. And of course we need a resistor in series with the LED, otherwise we can short out the LED, which is bad. We don't want to do that. Yeah, let's get started. So the first thing to note is we need to power the device. So you have these 2 wires here given in your electronic components kit. Let's get started with that. You usually want to stay consistent, like black is to minus and red is to plus. You just plug in one side to anywhere on the minus rail, and then you look on your board for minus is typically ground, so you look for your ground pins. It's a little hard to see, but your ground pins are right here. It says ground in white over there. Not focusing. Yeah. Kind of see it says ground. That's great. And now we take our other wire, our red wire, connect it to plus. And then for this one, we are just using a little VCC input, a 5-volt input, and right next to the ground pin. That's 5 volts. That's a typical voltage that you would use circuits. Get this to focus again. Cool. Okay, so now that we've done that, another thing to note is when you're doing all these connections, right now it's not powered to anything because it's not plugged into the computer, which is good because you don't want to be adjusting your components with the power connected, because you could do damage to the devices, which you don't want to do. So first off, we can use the resistor in series to connect from plus to the switch. And the important thing to note with resistors is their values are determined with these things, these bands, these colored bands. I pull out one of my resistors that I have, and these bands refer to the value of the resistance on the resistor. So this one that I'm holding has a brown, a black, and a red. So I can pull up a resistor color chart, and these charts basically just explain how to read it. I think something like this is more simple, easier to determine to read. The brown is 1, the black is 0, and then the red is 2. So it goes first, second digit, third digit. So a brown, black, red means you have 10 times 10 to the 2, which makes this a 1K band. The 2 coming from the red being the value 2, and the third band is the digit on the third band is what power of 10 you're going to raise it to. So this is a 1K resistor. So moving on, the project asks for a 220 ohm resistor. So if I go into my starter kit, you'll see there's these whole bunch of resistors here connected in these taped together, which is cool because they're all organized by value. However, this kit is interesting because they also give you 5-band resistors, which are read differently. So you have to be careful with that, because you might find your resistor in a different place than what you expected. So this blue resistor, it has a red, it looks like a black. So basically what that means is red, black. So that means that this resistor is 220, and then the next black means times 10 to the 0, which is just 1. So this red, black resistor is actually our 220 resistor. So let's put this in. From plus to one of the rails. Doesn't really matter which one you put it in. It's a pretty simple circuit we are building, so you don't have to worry too much. You take your switch, put it in your breadboard. So cool. So we have that connected. And now we need to add our LED. So I'll choose this blue LED here. There's all kinds of LEDs in the kit. Really nice. And so one leg, the important thing with LEDs is that one leg is longer than the other. But there. One leg is longer than the other. And that basically tells you which way the current will flow. So the longer leg refers to the anode, the plus terminal of the LED. So we want the anode side to be connected to the current coming in from the 5 volts that we connected with the resistor. But we also want it to be in series with the switch, so then the switch can control the behavior of the circuit. So I put the anode side in the same row as the switch. Kind of hard to see. Anode side goes right next to the switch, and then the cathode side will be connected to ground. So to do that, we get one of our wires. Wires here. I'm gonna connect this minus terminal to the minus rail, like so. Now our circuit is completed. It is built. It goes from 5 volts, goes through this resistor, goes through the switch. If the switch is pressed, current will flow through this LED, and then it goes to ground, and then we're done. However, the cool thing about the Arduino is it's not just a power source. We can reprogram ports to do stuff, which will be seen in later projects. But for this one, it will function properly with just the power source. So to power the board, the starter kit gives you cable, and then all you have to do, plug it in your computer. It's just a USB. I will do so. Plugged in. Then I will plug this into here, because this is the power port. And that's plugged in. Cool. And you know it's powered because the board lights up as so. The green light turned on, so you know it's on. That's good. So we should be able to just press this, and the LED turns on. Cool. Very cool. Okay, so that's the first part of this project. Now the second part teaches you stuff about circuit theory, so we'll go over that now. This is just a basic one direction circuit. So the next part is talking about things in series, circuits in series. So what we're going to do is we are going to add another switch in series with our LED. So let's do that. So I can just move this over, or for now I can just take it off. So I'm going to add another switch here. That in. Cool. So I have my other switch put into the breadboard. So now that that's done, I need to connect it in series by adding another wire. So I just connect one end to the other end. And you need to make sure that it's in the same row as where the pin connected to. So this side of the wire is connected to the end of this switch, and then it's connected to the head of the other switch, which is good. So now that we've done that, we take our LED, do the same thing as we did in the first part. Anode goes to the positive terminal, or the end of the other one, so current goes in. Cathode goes to the other end, and then we're going to connect that to ground. So take my wire again, put it next to the cathode, connect it to the cathode, and then put it to ground, like so. Awesome. So when we talk about circuits in series, it basically means that current will flow through this resistor, this switch, and then this switch, and then here. Current doesn't branch off. It's all going in a line. So that means if we press one of the switches, it's connected, but since this switch isn't connected, the other switch, the current won't flow through to the LED. It won't turn on. Same thing for if you only press the other one. So you have to press both of them for it to turn on. So that's circuits in series. You can do a lot of cool things with things in series. From a higher level point of view, you could put a capacitor in, and then when you send in certain frequencies, if it's connected in series, you can turn things into either you can turn things into a certain type of filter where you can only receive certain frequencies or wavelengths. So that's more advanced stuff. For now, all we need to know is series means that current flows through in a line through all the devices, all the components. So the next part is constructing a parallel circuit. So let's do that. Now parallel circuits are a little bit more complicated because basically what it's doing is it's saying that current can flow through either one of the two, both, or none. So let's construct that. So we grab some more wires. Let's do our wiring here. So what I'm going to do is connect the 5 volts. This wire's too long. Going to connect the 5 volts directly to the start of the second switch. Yeah, maybe this one. So plus goes to plus of start of the other one, the second switch. Cool. Okay. Now we want move this a little bit so we can do the connection. This still goes to ground. Cool. So take this out for now. We want this end of the switch to be connected to the anode, so we can get the power, the current flowing through the LED from the second switch. Unplug this. In. Next, we will connect the other end, the negative end of this, of the first switch, to the LED. So essentially what we've done is we've created two paths for current to flow. This in. Our first path, it goes from power through this resistor, through this first switch, and then through this wire, and then through the LED. The other one goes through the resistor, this blue wire, into this switch, into this yellow wire, into the LED. So let's go check it out and see what happens. So in series, we needed to press both buttons for it to turn on. But what you'll see is you can press either of the buttons for the LED to turn on, and if you press both, it'll still turn on. So that's the power of things in parallel. You can do it so current branches off, and then you can do different things in different branches, stuff like that. The only thing is if you split the power, the voltage, right, you're not going to get 5 volts in one side, 5 volts in the other side. You have to be careful because you can run into issues where you don't have enough power in a certain branch, and then your circuit doesn't work. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for the first project. Thank you for watching the first part of my series where I'm learning to do stuff with the Arduino. That was part 1, and I'm hoping to do more stuff with that, so if you liked it, please subscribe and follow my Twitch channel. I'll post the link in the description below. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do part 2 and more later on this week. Thank you for watching.